Hello, friends, and thank you for tuning in to our broadcast today. In a few moments, we're going to take you into a live session where Bishop Wayne was teaching a message designed to feed your faith and to elevate your understanding. We invite you to join in as if you were here in person and to light up the chat box with your comments and confirmations. This hour of power is your time to recharge, to renew, and even to reset your mind for a life of purpose, passion, and power. At the end of this message, we have an important announcement for you. So do stay tuned. But now let's go into the hour of power with Bishop Wayne Malcolm.
So I'm going to kick off with some scriptures and I'm going to give some context to the lesson tonight. I'm going to kick off with some context and some scriptures, and then we're gonna define focus, and we're going to look at some focus quotes. I'm going to talk about broken focus, and I'm going to talk about why focus and how focus. All right, so let's dive in. So here is our scripture reading for tonight. It's 1 Corinthians 16, verse 9. It's the Apostle Paul, and he says, "For a great door and effectual is opened unto me, and there are many adversaries." I'm going to read that again. "A great door and effectual is opened unto me, and there are many adversaries." So to make it clear, a great door and effectual, like in a modern translation, it would say a great door for effective ministry is open to me. And I'm going to translate what a great door means. It means a big opportunity. I have a big opportunity in front of me, and there are many adversaries. So now Paul is dealing with the relationship, or the scripture is dealing with the relationship between opportunity and adversity. Opportunity and adversity. And of course, we all want opportunity, but what it's important to know is that opportunity always comes with adversity. So I've made 3 points here under this scripture as follows. Number 1, for every great door, there are many adversaries. Notice how Paul said, a great door is open to me, there are many adversaries. What that means is that whenever there is a big opportunity in front of you, there is always going to be much adversity in the way, seeking to obscure the door or to hinder your progress through that door. Wherever there's a great door, there are always many adversaries, okay? Wherever there's big opportunity, there's always much adversity. And that's kind of good news because it equally means that wherever there is much adversity, there is a great door. So I'm going to say it again. Wherever there is much adversity, there is always a great door. So if you're experiencing many adversaries, much adversity, you are experiencing trials, tests, turmoil, trouble on every side. You look at every side of your life and it's just adversity. Well, that's indicative of the fact that a big opportunity is in front of you. And whenever there is a big opportunity, there is always much adversity. Point number 2, the size of your adversity is indicative of the size of your opportunity. Woo and wow. So if there's a little adversity, then it's a little opportunity. It's a small opportunity. But if there's much adversity, it's because there is a big opportunity in front of you. The size of your adversity is indicative of the size of your opportunity. Now, how many of you, just based on that simple principle and scriptural fact, already feel like there's a big opportunity in front of me? There's a big opportunity. I know it because the adversity is huge. So wherever there's big, the size of your adversity is indicative of the size of your opportunity. But equally, this passage presents us with a choice. The passage presents us with a choice. You must choose to focus on your opportunity or on your adversity. And I've put it here as a question. Do you focus on the opportunity or do you focus on the adversity? So I want to see you guys in the chat box. I want to hear from you. I want to know. I'm throwing out the question. Which one should I focus on? Whenever there's a big opportunity in front of me, there's always going to be much adversity. So, but which one do I focus on? Do I focus on the opportunity or do I focus on the adversity? And I want you to tell me which one you've decided already that you're going to focus on in 2024, at the close of this year. As we go into 2024, what are you going to focus on? Are you going to focus on your opportunity or are you going to focus on your adversity? And as much as it seems like an obvious that the answer is obvious, a lot of people are focused on their adversity. They are trying to outfires. They are trying to defeat their enemies. They are trying to answer criticisms. They are out here trying to prove themselves. They are out here focused on their adversity. They are not focused on the opportunity. So I want you to tell me in the chat box, what are you going to do in 2024? Are you going to focus on your adversity or are you going to focus on your opportunity? Woo! I really want to see your comments coming up in the chat box. So I can see it. I can see it beginning to flood in. That you're going to focus on the opportunity. So I'm going to give you some food for thought here. Some food for thought. Here's food for thought. Number one, whatever you focus on, you amplify and you magnify. Whatever you focus on, you amplify and you magnify. Simply put, you make it bigger. So if you focus on your opportunity gets bigger. If you focus on your adversity gets bigger. That's why you choose to focus on the opportunity and not on the adversity, because whatever you focus on, you amplify and you magnify. For some people who are focused on their adversity, the adversity is so big they cannot see their opportunity anymore. They cannot even see God anymore. They've magnified it above God. They cannot see anything else in the world except adversity. That's because you're focused on the adversity. But if you change your focus and focus on your opportunity, all of a sudden your opportunity is going to start getting bigger. It's going to start speaking to you, and it's going to excite you, and it's going to trigger your energy, and it's going to give you the energy and the equipment to move forward, to press on, and to break through. Woo! This is great. So I want to read another passage here. It's Philippians 3, verse 13 to 14. And it reads, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do." I want you to notice that I've put one thing. I've put one in bold. But this one thing I do. "Forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus." Wow and wow. So Apostle Paul says, look, I haven't arrived, okay? I'm not yet everything I want to be. I haven't done everything I want to do. I don't have everything that I want to have. I've not yet apprehended, but this one thing I do. There's one thing I do. When someone starts talking about one thing, they are talking about focus, the law of focus. There's one thing I'm going to do. He says, "Forgetting the things that are behind and reaching forth to the things that are before me, I press towards the mark." So the one thing that I'm doing is I am reaching into the future and pressing towards the mark for the prize of the high calling. I'm pressing towards fulfilling my destiny, achieving my assignment, fulfilling the purpose of my very existence, my presence on this planet. He says, I'm pressing towards that. And he says, it's one thing that I'm doing. It's the one thing that I do. Now, this just takes us into the food for thought a little bit further. In order to focus, there are some things that you have to forget. Woo! Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. In order to focus, there are things you have to forget. Let's just go back to the passage. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind. Reaching forth to the things that are before, I press towards the mark. So in order to focus on something, you have to forget other things. In order to focus on something, you have to forget other things. So the question is, what must you forget in order to focus on your highest goals? Because there's some things you're going to have to forget, as in refuse to pay attention, refuse to concentrate on, refuse to meditate in, refuse to be consumed with, refuse to engage with. There are some things you have to forget in order to focus on your highest goals. That is a powerful principle, and I'm going to take it a little bit further. Some more food for thought. You can only focus on one thing at a time. So according to Paul, he said, this one thing I do, this one thing I do. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Now that is true mentally. It's true mentally because it's true physically. Like when it comes to vision, when it comes to your eyesight, you have two types of vision. You have focus, and you also have peripheral vision. So peripheral vision makes you aware of what's around you. But focus allows you to concentrate on a particular thing. So right now, I'm focused on my screen, but I am aware of what's around me in my office, but I'm focused on my screen. So I see my screen clearly, but I'm simply aware of the things that are around me. Now that's true biologically and physically. If you're going to focus on something, it doesn't mean you're unaware of the things that are around you. It means that what is clear to you is the thing that you're focused on. So you can only focus on one thing at a time. So here's the question. What one thing makes all the others possible and probable? So as you look out into 2024, there are lots of things that you're going to be aware of. But what one thing is going to make the difference to everything else? And once you figure out what the one thing is, then you can focus on the one thing that's going to make a difference for everything else. It's the one thing that makes all the others possible. It's the one thing that makes all the others probable. And I think of this as the kingpin. The kingpin. So in bowling, right, in the game of bowling, you have 12 pins. You have one ball. You have to knock down 12 pins with one ball. And these pins are at the end of an alley. So you have to roll the ball and you have to knock down 12 pins. Well, the way to do it is to not aim for 12 pins. The way to do it is to aim for the one pin that knocks all the others down. There's one pin, that's the kingpin, that will knock all the others down. So the kingpin is the one thing that makes the others inevitable. And when it comes to 2024, rather than trying to do everything, rather than trying to fix everything, rather than trying to fight everyone, rather than trying to fight everything, you need to focus on one thing that's going to make the difference to everything else. And if you can focus on the one thing and hit the kingpin, then you are going, that kingpin will knock down the others. It will make those things inevitable. It will make them possible. It will make them probable, and it will make them inevitable. And that's the power of focus. The power of focus is choosing your target very carefully, choosing where you're going to put your energy, where you're going to place your energy, how you're going to use your power of attention. Wow and wow. Is this good or is this good? So let's go into this in a bit more detail. So focus defined as follows. Focus occurs when you choose to concentrate on a particular result, outcome, or goal, while ignoring the adversity that obstructs your opportunity. So what that means is that focus is a choice. Focus is a choice. Focus means choosing to concentrate on a particular result, outcome, or goal. So if there is a particular outcome that you want, there's a particular result you're looking for, there's a particular goal, you have to choose to focus on it, which will mean ignoring or forgetting the adversity that obstructs the opportunity. Focus is my choice. And the beautiful thing about the mind is that you get to choose where you're going to put it, where you're going to spend it, where you're going to invest it, or where you're going to waste it. You get to choose. So I can choose to focus on my opportunity, or I can choose to focus on my adversity, but it's ultimately my choice. And focus occurs when you choose to focus on your opportunity, to focus on an outcome, a result, or a goal at the expense of the adversity that is obstructing the opportunity. Number 2, pay attention. Pay attention. Attention is a form of universal currency. Wow and wow. Attention is a form of universal currency. In other words, attention is a form of money. And you are always attracting into your life the things you purchase with your attention. See, the things you pay attention to, you are equally paying attention for. I'm going to say it again. The things you pay attention to are the things you're paying attention for, because you are always attracting into your life the things that you purchase with your attention. So if you place your attention on adversity, you are purchasing more adversity. You pay attention to opportunity, you're attracting more opportunity. Wherever your attention goes, your intention flows. Okay? And so you may have intention, but you're going to have to put your attention on your intention so that your intention becomes your experience. Wow and wow. So pay attention to the things you want, not to the things you don't want. Pay attention to your opportunity, not to your adversity. Pay attention to your outcomes, not to your obstacles, because as you pay attention, you are paying with attention. You are purchasing something with the currency that is your attention. Finally, I want to talk about direction. Direction. Your life will swerve in the direction of your focus. I'm going to say it again. I learned this a long time ago, and it blew my mind then. It blows my mind now. Your life will always swerve in the direction of your focus. So if you're looking back, you're going to go back. If you're looking around, you're going to go around. If you're looking forward, you're going to go forward. Wow and wow. What does this mean? It means that if you're driving a vehicle, right, you're not only, when you're driving a vehicle, a good passenger is going to say, look where you're going. If they see that you're distracted, they're going to say, look where you're going. Look where you're going. The reason you need to look where you're going is because you're going to go where you're looking. And And I remember being in Jamaica years ago. I was in a car and we were on a very narrow road. And a lorry was coming in the opposite direction, and there was not much room for two vehicles on this particular narrow road. So it was going to take a lot of skill for us to pass each other slowly. But this lorry didn't look like it was slowing down. It wasn't slowing down, it wasn't acknowledging the risk that was in the environment. And I remembered my uncle saying to me, don't look at the lorry. Don't look at his lights. Look away from his lights. And when we finished and I got past, he made it clear to me why you don't look at the lights, because whatever you're looking at is drawing you in. In a very subtle way, you are literally pulling into the thing that you're looking at. And so, that's a powerful principle for life. If you're looking at poverty, it's pulling you in. If you're looking at lack, if you're looking at not enough, if you're looking at trouble, if you're looking at distress, if you're looking at misery, it's pulling you in. You have to start looking in the direction that you're going and say, look, I'm going into abundance. I'm going into increase. I'm going into prosperity. I'm going into purpose. I'm going into destiny. I'm going into fullness. I'm going into kingdom things. I need to be looking at those things. I need to be focused on those things. And I need to choose to not look at the other things. I'm not looking at my adversity. I'm looking at my opportunity. So if I start looking at my adversity, I'm going to swerve in that direction. But if I keep looking at my opportunity, it's going to pull me in that direction. Does that make sense to anybody? Was that a blessing to anybody? I want to hear you in the chat box if that's a blessing to you. All right. So I'm gonna give you a few focus quotes, a few quotes on the power of focus. So first of all, Zig Ziglar, who was perhaps, the greatest sales professional of all time, trained thousands and thousands of sales professionals, was a committed Christian, and told his story wherever he had an audience. Here's what Zig Ziglar said. He said, I don't care how much power, brilliance, or energy you have. If you don't harness it and focus it on a specific target and hold it there, you're never going to accomplish as much as your ability warrants. Wow and wow. So I think that that's super powerful, because what it says is this: look, you may be brilliant, you may be powerful, you may be gifted, you may be called, but if you don't focus on a target, focus on a goal, focus on an outcome, focus on a result, we are never going to see that brilliance, that energy, that power. We're never going to see it. You're never going to accomplish as much as your ability warrants. And I think that's powerful, and I think it's true. Number two is Paulo Coelho, who's the author of a very powerful little book called The Alchemist. And it's a very powerful book that's been read by kings and presidents all over the world. And if you haven't read The Alchemist, of course, I'm highly recommending it. But here's what he says. He says, whenever you want to achieve something, keep your eyes open. Concentrate and make sure you know exactly what it is you want. No one can hit their target with their eyes closed. Wow and wow. If you're going to hit a target, you need to see it, and you need to focus or concentrate on it. So open your eyes and begin to concentrate on what it is you truly want. You're then going to hit your target. You won't be able to hit your target if your eyes are closed and you're not concentrating on the things you truly want. Jack Canfield is the author of The Success Principles, and he is also the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and many other great success classics. Here's what he said. Successful people maintain a positive focus in life no matter what's going on around them. They stay focused on their past successes rather than their past failures and the next action steps they need to take to get them closer to the fulfillment of their goals. Wow and wow. So saying that, in his study of successful people, he realized that successful people focus. They focus on what is the next step I need to take in order to fulfill my goal. And when they look back into their past, they focus on their successes more than they do their failures. And so that's some very successful people talking about the power of focus. Right. So are you really, really ready? Are you really, really ready? Because I'm about to go deep. I'm about to go deep. Yeah, I'm about to go deep. I want to talk about the enemy's strategy. The enemy's strategy. Like I know people think, oh, the enemy's attacking me on every side. The enemy's trying to do this, trying to get in my finances, trying to get in my family, trying to get in my health, trying to get in my mind, all up in my church, and the enemy's this and the enemy's that. I need you to understand that the enemy is only trying to do one thing in your life, and it is to break your focus. Like everything the enemy's doing around you is about breaking your focus, period. And if he fails to break your focus, then the weapon formed against you did not prosper. You're aware of the scripture that says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Well, that's an encouraging scripture, but it's also a worrying, concerning scripture, because it makes it very clear that weapons will be formed against you and weapons are going to be fired against you. But the promise is that they will not prosper. Weapons that are formed against you only prosper when they succeed at breaking your focus. All right. So if your focus is broken, then the enemy prevails. So the enemy is absolutely at work in your life to break your focus. And if you keep your focus, if you maintain your focus, then guess what? You defeat your enemy. He starts trying something else. He says, look, this ain't working. This person is still focused on their goals, still focused on the outcome, still focused on the result, still focused on the gift, still focused on the calling, still focused on the assignment, still focused on the mission. And whatever we're doing in his finances, in his family, in his health, it's not working. He's still focused. So the enemy's going to have to retreat, pull back, and try to figure out something else, because all he's busy doing is trying to break your focus. So let's dive into that right now. So number one is distraction. Distraction. The enemy wants you looking the wrong way so you won't see what he's really doing. So that's when stuff comes up. Thanks for all the fire and all the emojis that are coming up right now, because that's encouraging me as I go on. The enemy wants you looking in a completely opposite direction to where he's operating. And so he specializes in distractions. And that's people that come up with an allegation or a criticism or a comment. And here you are focused on that person when actually your true battle is coming from another direction. And something kicks off in your finances, you're all focused on it, it's nothing but a distraction. Sometimes you just say, you know what, devil, you are a liar. That is a distraction. That's trying to get me to look over here when I should be looking in the direction of my opportunity. It's a distraction. Number two is smoke screens. Smoke screens. The enemy will set off smoke bombs that sound devastating, but really it's a cloud of smoke to hide his true intentions. It's just a load of stuff going on that's trying to get you lost in the fog and in the haze and in the mist of loads of things going on. And all it is designed to do is to hide his true intentions, to hide your open door, to hide your opportunity. And what you've got to do is say, this is a smokescreen. All this stuff happening right here is a smokescreen. I take authority over it in the name of Jesus, and I am going to press on with my goals. I'm going to press on with my dreams. I'm going to press on with my destiny. I'm going to press on with my calling, because all of this is a smokescreen. None of this has any power to stop me. None of this has any power to prevent me making progress in the direction of my destiny. It's a smokescreen. Woo and wow. I'm loving the comments that are coming up in the chat box. Now, scarecrows. Scarecrows. The enemy specializes in straw men that look menacing, but really have no capacity to hurt you. They are there to keep you out of your field of potential. So, farmers that want to keep the crows off of their crops will often build a straw man and dress him in clothes, put him in the field in order to scare away the crows. They're called scarecrows. I find that the enemy tends to create straw men to keep you out of your field of potential, to convince you that there's an enemy in there, there's a problem in there, there's a challenge, there's a trial in there. And they're nothing but scarecrows, because they don't have any power to hurt you. They don't have capacity to stop you. They're just there, visible. All right? So, distractions, smoke screens, scarecrows. I am praying for you that in 2024, you will be able to discern a distraction. That look, if there's a gift you want to go into 2024 with, it's the ability to discern a distraction, to recognize smoke screens and scarecrows. Because if you can discern a distraction, recognize smoke screens and scarecrows, guess what? You stay focused. You stay focused on your purpose. You stay focused on your plan. You stay focused on your mission, on your assignment. You stay focused on your goal. You stay focused on your destiny, because you're not distracted and you're not confused by the smoke screens, and you're not scared by the scarecrows. So I want to dive into the invitation, because that's the big one. That's the big one I want to spend a bit of time with tonight. And I pray that you're blessed tonight with the training tonight. I pray it's blessing you tonight. I can see it's blessing you tonight. So, invitation. Wow, this is the big one. This is the one it took me too long to get. It's the one I wish I understood years ago. So here goes. So I'm going to break it down for you tonight, and I pray that it's a blessing to you. I pray it's an eye-opener, a game changer, and potentially a lifeline to you. The enemy's strategy. Invitation. The devil will invite you into fights that are designed to break your focus, deplete your energy, and waste your time. Like, the enemy is going to invite you into a fight, all right? The enemy is going to invite you. The enemy is going to initiate fights that, if you're not careful, you're gonna take him on. You're gonna fight a battle that God never called you to fight, never anointed you to fight, never sent you into that battle. You're going to end up fighting something, fighting someone, and even if you win, you still lost. Because the whole purpose of the invitation was to break your focus, deplete your energy, and waste your time. Let's look at this in more detail. Matthew 5, verse 39, Jesus said, "But I say unto you that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also." Now, that's a hard one for believers, right? It's a hard one because it sounds like Jesus is promoting pacifism. It sounds like he's saying you should be the kind of person that people can walk over, trample on, abuse, and all of this stuff. But that's clearly not what he is saying. Here's what he's saying. If you want an interpretation for Matthew 5:39, the business bishop is going to give you his interpretation right now. The interpretation of Matthew 5, verse 39 is simply this: choose your battles. Woo! Choose your battles. Don't go into a fight just because you were invited. Choose which fight you're going to go into. Because if you are the kind of person who can be drawn into a fight, you don't have the personal discipline. You don't have your ego under control. You don't have the personal boundaries in place. Then you're just going to go into a fight because you're invited into a fight. To smite on the right cheek is an invitation to war. That was a cultural way of inviting someone to war. If someone smote you on their right cheek, they were saying, you've offended me, you've offended my honor, and I'm inviting you to war. Okay? Now, the modern day equivalent is someone saying something negative on your social media. You find out that someone has been criticizing you behind your back. You find out that someone is saying things about you that are simply not true. And what they're doing is they're inviting you into a fight. Jesus said, turn to him the other also. In other words, demonstrate to that person, demonstrate to that situation that you cannot hurt me without my permission. Wow and wow. You cannot hurt me without my consent. And I don't consent to be hurt because you are not that important to me. Now, this is it's such a powerful message, right? That you choose your battles. And here's what I've written here. There's a difference between a battle that God sends you into and a battle that the enemy invites you into. See, if God sends you into a battle, guess what? God is going with you into that battle. If God sends you into a battle, guess what? That battle's already won. If God sends you into a battle, guess what? The enemy's already defeated. So if God sends you into a battle, you go in with confidence, you go in with conviction. Even if you are outnumbered, you go in. Even if you only have a sling and a stone, but your enemy has a sword and a shield, you go in. Because if God sends you into a battle, there's no way that you can lose. Because it's not your battle, it's God's battle. The battle is not yours, it is the Lord's. But if the enemy invites you into a battle, do not go. Because God is not going with you. And God did not send you. God is not going with you. You're on your own. So you might get beat up in that battle. You might lose that battle, and you might even win that battle. The problem is that if you win it, you still lost it. So even after you prove your enemies wrong, and you prove your critics wrong, and you prove your haters wrong, and you prove, all of these people wrong, right? You still lost. You know why you lost? Because you lost time, you lost energy, and you lost focus. You lost it because those people didn't really matter. Because even after you convince them that they're wrong, they're still not going to be on your side and support you. The reality is you wasted time. So you have to choose your battles carefully. You have to say, look, if I'm going to fight, fighting takes energy, fighting takes focus, fighting takes investment, fighting costs money. If I'm going to fight, I'm going to choose carefully who I fight, why I fight, when I fight, where I fight. Choose your battles carefully. Wow and wow. So I'm going to start to do some crazy stuff right now. Is this good so far? Yeah, this is good so far. So watch this. Why focus? Why focus? Because I'm giving you 4 reasons why focus is critical. It's particularly as we move into 2024, you're going to have to focus on what you want, what you're promised, what your goal is, what your plan is. You're going to focus on it, right? You're going to have to resist the invitation to go into other battles. You are going to have to not be distracted. You're going to have to see through the smoke of a smoke screen. You're going to have to not fear the scarecrows, and you're going to have to not accept invitations into battles that are taking you off your path. They are breaking your focus, they're depleting your energy, and they're wasting your time. You need to focus, and here's why. Number one, direction. Your focus determines your direction. Look where you're going, because you will go where you are looking. Your life will veer in the direction of your focus. We shared that before. I just wanted to say that again. The reason why you're going to focus is because you are going to go where you're looking. You have to look where you're going because you're ultimately going to go where you are looking. Number 2 is concentration. Concentration. If you want to solve a problem, you must concentrate and think deeply through it. We know this. We say this to children in school when they're doing maths or they've got a problem to solve. We say, look, concentrate. Because if you choose to focus and forget the other things that are going on around you, you're going to find solutions. We know this in terms of how the brain works, but we need to know this in terms of how life works. You must concentrate and think deeply. If the enemy can break your concentration, he can render you powerless in the face of surmountable obstacles, things that you could overcome. You're powerless to overcome because you can't concentrate. So you've got to learn to concentrate. And in order to concentrate, you're going to have to prioritize the things that are important, and you're going to have to forget the things that are not important. You're going to say, actually, that's kicking off in my life, but it's not important in terms of my long-range goals. This is kicking off in my life, but it's not important. This person is screaming for attention, but it's not important. This person is trying to invite me into a battle, but it's not important. I'm going to concentrate so I can solve my problems and move forward. Number 3 is emotion. Is this still a blessing to someone right now? If this is blessing you right now, I want to see some more fire in the chat box, because it's blessing me while I'm teaching it. I want it to be a blessing to you. Emotion. Your feelings follow your focus. Wow. Your feelings follow your focus. Someone said, oh, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling useless. I'm feeling, all of these negative feelings. They are following your focus. Because here's the fact. You cannot feel anything about anything you are not focused on. Right? So that's why, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I know I've had it several times. You had a feeling like I'm supposed to be happy about something, but I can't remember what it is. I'm supposed to be happy about something, but I can't remember. And then, oh yeah, I remember what it is. Wow, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm excited about that. And sometimes I get like, I'm supposed to be really sad and upset about something, but I can't remember what it is. Now I remember it. Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel horrible. I feel really bad about that. Why? Because you can't feel anything about anything you're not focused on. So your feelings are following your focus. So if you actually want to feel better, if you want to be in a state, an optimal state, a resourceful state, a productive state, you're going to have to focus on things that make you feel that way. And this is why I like to start my day with gratitude. Oh, I wish I had some help in here. Gratitude. The songwriter said it this way: count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. In other words, if you sit down and start making a list of the things you're truly grateful for, I'm grateful for these things. I'm grateful for these people in my life. I'm grateful for these opportunities in my life. I'm grateful for these gifts that I have. I am grateful for the way God brought me through certain things. I am grateful. When you start feeling gratitude, it's because you're focused on the good things God has done for you, in you, through you. And as you focus on that, you change your feeling. And as you change your feeling, you're changing your state. Now you're feeling optimal. Now you're feeling confident. Now you're feeling capable. Now you are feeling resourceful, and you can go into the day with great feelings because you changed your focus first thing in the morning. I think it's important that you start your morning with an hour of power, with a time of reflection, with a time of prayer, with a time of meditation where you can get your focus right. Because if you can get your focus right, you can get your feelings right. If you get your feelings right, you can perform at peak levels because you're feeling a peak state. Wow and wow. I'm glad someone heard that the hour of power is so important. To not just jump out of bed and into your day. Jump out of bed and into your place, your secret place, where you can actually begin to find focus. Focus on the goodness of God. Focus on his plan. Focus on his purpose. Focus on the great things that he has done. Focus on the great opportunities in front of you. Focus. Energy. Guess what? Energy is generated through focus. Someone said, I don't have any strength. I don't have any energy. I'm not really feeling like I can do that. I can't. It's because your focus is broken. When you focus on achieving a goal, you instruct your subconscious mind to find the way and the means to do it. And when you're focusing on your adversity, it will deplete you of energy. But when you focus on your opportunity, it will top up your energy. Wow and wow. How to focus? Well, focus is a choice. It's a choice. Someone said, no, I can't focus because my mind is just so full of so many things. Because you've chosen to focus on so many things. Remember, Paul said the key to focus is forgetting. The key to focus is forgetting. For this one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind. Forget some things so you can focus on other things. You say, well, I can't forget. You know why you can't forget? Because you're finding it difficult to trust. You see, you can forget certain things when you can trust that God is for you, that God is with you, that God is in you, that God is around you, that God has got you. When you trust that God has got you, you can forget certain things. Now, I'm not talking about being irresponsible and not doing what needs to be done, but I mean not worrying about things you cannot change, not worrying about things you didn't even start. Don't worry about a fight that you didn't start. Don't worry about things you cannot change. Leave that to God. Forget those things and choose to focus. You must actively and aggressively choose to focus on specific things while ignoring certain others. And I'm going to start to close out with this. What to focus on? What to focus on? Well, when you look back in your past, focus on the good in your past and not the bad. Focus on what God has done. Focus on your testimony. Focus on your blessings and focus on the lessons that you've learned. In other words, yes, when you go back into your past, yes, there's pain. Yes, there's trauma. Yes, there's hurt. Yes, there's misery. But it does not energize you to focus on that. Focus on the lessons you learned from the things you survived. Focus on the testimony you have because other people didn't survive it. Focus on what God did to get you through. Focus on the way that he blessed you. When you look back in your past, focus on the good, not the bad. When it comes to the present, focus on the opportunity that is in your present, not the crisis. So, there's a crisis in my present right now. Well, crisis equals opportunity. In every crisis, there is an opportunity. Every crisis is an opportunity in disguise. Focus on the opportunity, not the crisis. Focus on the great door, not the adversity. Because remember, we read, With every great door, there is much adversity. You choose to focus on the opportunity or you focus on the adversity. In your present, focus on your opportunity. In the future, focus on where you're going, where you want to be, what you want to do and have. These are your goals. When you focus on achieving your goals, you'll summons the energy to overcome. And finally, focus on Christ. Remember your source and supply. Choose to focus on the presence, the promises, and the purpose of God for your life. Don't give the devil the attention he wants. You know, if you really want to slap the devil right across his face, ignore him. What? That is so deep. Woo! If you really want to slap the devil, ignore him. Like if you ignore him, that will hurt and insult him and slap him more than anything else. Say, ignore him and say, you know what? I'm going to focus on what Christ is up to in my life because the devil's an idiot and I'm not even going to focus. I'm going to be paying him any attention. The devil's a liar, the devil's a fool, and I'm not going to focus. I'm going to give him any attention. I'm going to give Christ all the attention. I'm going to focus on Jesus. So what is Jesus doing in my life? What is Jesus up to? What's God doing in my life? What has God done for me, and what is God doing in me, and what has God promised me? I'm going to focus on those. It's a choice.
Hey friend, I trust this training is blessing you right now and that it gave you a glimpse into our world. It's an epic world of like minds that share our vision and values. The full session, together with replays from all our webinars, is available in our private members community. It's called the New Breed Community and is an exclusive online network where the partners in our mission connect, share, learn, and grow. If this material resonates with you, then partner with Bishop Wayne today to unlock a world of resources, connections, and coaching. You can join our community today with a one-time membership fee and gain instant access. Click the link.
What if everything you've been taught about money, prosperity, and God's intention for the earth has been too small, too narrow, and totally disconnected from the original plan? What if your struggle has never been about your potential, but about your perspective? And what if the real economy, the one God designed before the foundations of the world, has been waiting for you to discover it? Well, that's why I wrote Kingdom Economics. And before this book is released to the world, I want to give you an opportunity to get ahead of everyone else, to join the waiting list and to be among the first to access a revelation that is going to redefine how you see wealth, work, stewardship, and purpose. Kingdom Economics is not another book about money. It's a prophetic blueprint. It's the rediscovery of God's original purpose for global prosperity, the prosperity of nations, families, and kingdom citizens. It'll show you that God has a purpose, a plan, and a process for your increase, and that everything He designed for you begins with alignment, not anxiety. From Eden to Abraham to Christ, this book reveals a pattern. God never intended scarcity. God never mandated smallness. God never glorified survival. He created you for dominion, productivity, influence, and generational impact. But here's the important part. The book is not yet released, and before we make it available publicly, I want to open the doors for those who are hungry, ready, and positioned to join the waiting list. And to reward early action, I'm giving something special. The first 50 people who join the waiting list and purchase the book on release day will receive the full audiobook version completely free. That's right, buy the physical or digital book on release day, and if you're among the first 50 buyers from the waiting list, the professionally narrated audiobook is yours at no cost. This will allow you to not only read the revelation, but also hear it, meditate on it, and carry it with you as you rise into a new economic reality. Join the waiting list today, be among the first to receive Kingdom Economics when it launches, and secure your chance to receive the audiobook absolutely free. This book will challenge you, stretch you, correct you, elevate you, and align you with God's original design for your life. Your future is calling, your assignment is calling, and creation is groaning for what you will build next. Join the waiting list now and be one of the first 50 to claim the free audiobook when Kingdom Economics is released.